Welcome, welcome everyone. Akasha here. Welcome to BlissLife Global Healing Series. I'm so honored to welcome you to join us in discovering the deeper meaning of what is happening right now, all the breakdowns, all the breakthroughs. So join us as we explore the soul purpose awakening happening on the entire planet. We're going to be diving into secrets and insights for this grand transformation and bringing you practical ways that you can not just survive, but actually transform and step into your true purpose, enjoy what you're, the breakdown and the breakthrough you're having, and have this moment be something that you look back on and said, look what I did, and I helped to create this new planet that we are moving into. So today I'm very excited to share with you a beautiful woman that I'm so excited that I'm getting to know, Kathy Quinton. And she's going to share with us today clarity and grounding and gremlins, you know, those little negative self-talks in your head that we've all had for what, probably our whole lives. And yet right now in this particular moment, it's incredibly important to get grounded and to get that gremlin conversation in your mind to calm down. So Kathy is a woman of many talents and passions, and she has a beautiful heart, I can tell you, just in a little bit of time that I've got to know her. She's a certified life coach and the owner of Quintessential Coaching. Her life's purpose is to help people find and use their own amazing gifts to bring about their well-being, fulfillment, and success. Kathy believes that happiness resides in what we think about and how we pursue our personal and professional action plans. Due to publish in a few months, Kathy's upcoming book focuses on how we can proactively shift our thinking from negative to positive as we work to create a fulfilled life. She's also developed a supplemental workbook of concrete actions to help cement the changes. Kathy currently lives in Massachusetts with her husband and is a mother of 3 grown children. And believe it or not, you're not going to believe this when you see her, a grandmother of 6, whom she tries to empower the heck out of as they grow. She's going to be gifting you today a gift called the 3 Pillars of Empowerment, and you will get all of that in our special page and in our emails. So let's go ahead and welcome Kathy. Thank you so much for being here.
Akasha, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here today with you.
Me too. This is great. So I've been enjoying our conversation up till now. So now that we're officially recording for everybody, share a little bit about your life and your ups and downs that brought you to be doing this work.
That's a wonderful question. We didn't touch on that.
Yeah.
I grew up in a home close by where I live now. I haven't moved too far from where I was born. And my father was in the World War II and had post-traumatic stress disorder, which kind of trickles down into the family. And had, you know, he and my mom had an interesting childhood, and we were raised with a strict religion at a certain point. And as a very, very young child at the age of 11, I always was interested in why we think the way we do, why people think the way they do, and why we do what we do. So I've had that passion overriding undercurrent quest in my life, my entire life. I've done many things. As you mentioned, I'm a mom to 3 adult children whom I adore. I'm a wife of many, many years, decades. I have 6 grandchildren, and empowerment and how we bring ourselves to the world, what energy we share, how we show up is very important to me. So I study it, I research it, I love it, I'm passionate, and I've gone through my own growth all these years to get to the point where I feel good in my skin. You know, I feel like I'm serving my purpose, and I know how wonderful it feels. Doesn't mean that we don't have our own gremlins still or lower level feelings. It just means when we get to the point of wanting to share like this, it's we know how good it feels, so we want to pass it on.
Yeah. Well, everybody struggles with those, I call it the poor girl in the head, the gremlins, the negative self-talk, because we're conditioned culturally, church-wise, governments, family, society, to have certain beliefs. Be like this, don't be like that.
Right.
And then we take that on and we make different internal vows or agreements, and then they're running our life. And that whole subconscious mind is really taking us somewhere when we want to go over here. And right now we're in the middle, or who knows where we are, in the 2020 pandemic. The coronavirus shutdown is at different points. So we've been through, gosh, what now, 6-8 months of this now, maybe more.
Yes.
And facing different unique situations like death or fear of disease, or not being able to travel, or being shut at home. And it's definitely changed the face of the planet. It's changed the face of how we interact. And it's a perfect breeding ground for those gremlins to come up and complain.
Yes.
So share a little bit about how, like, maybe one of the big ones that you've worked with or with your clients, and how right now is actually an opportunity to shift that and not let that part of you be in charge anymore.
When we are in crisis is a perfect opportunity to shift that, because it helps us shed away superficial fears, and the superficial fears are the ones that I spent my life flicking away. I'm not good enough. I'm a fraud. Imposter syndrome. I'm not perfect. I'm not all of that. I'm not good enough. And that's the work I do with my clients so often. And the thing about it is when you focus on life and death, right now is a pivotal time. People are focusing on what happened. The pandemic happened, and we have human needs. One of our human needs is to find safety. One of our top human needs is certainty. We need to feel certain. So we ran to get safe. And then at that point, we're starting to feel a little safe, and then we start becoming aware of things, and we're thinking, and we're getting a little bit more grounded, and we have some time that's passed, and okay, we're here, we made it, now let's think our way through this. And I find with my clients right now, I have more clients than I did before the pandemic, and the reason being is because they had to run to certainty. It's not a good feeling to have that kind of anxiety. And then we work on the 3 pillars of empowerment. That's the gift, which is clarity, being grounded on the earth, feeling solid and strong, and getting rid of this negative self-doubt, which we all have. You're right. We've been playing this tape over and over our whole lives, from religion, school, parents, our conditioning. And when we have to focus on something so important as keeping my family alive and staying alive, that stuff goes away. And then once it goes away, we can work to keep it away. It will come back to us here and there, but we're stronger. We've built resilience.
Yes. And so it's interesting is I know people who are locked in pandemic wise with their ex, you know, and people who are locked in with little kids, and, there's just all different versions. And then there's people who are alone and who are feeling incredibly alone. And each of these have been a challenge on top of what you were saying. The idea of uncertainty is profound. In fact, becoming comfortable with uncertainty is really important, because we were again conditioned, like, do you have a plan? Do you have a savings? Do you know what you're doing next? Do you know how you're getting there? Do you have all your goals set? Did you write it down? And now we're in a place where none of those things are as relevant to us being in the moment and being aware of those emotions. So share with us about how you would help somebody who was having one of these situations, how they could actually go in instead of run away from that gremlin voice.
I do a lot of work with clarity. And one of the best ways to find clarity, in a nutshell, this is the best tip I could give anyone that wanted to find clarity in a hurry. What don't you want in life? And we don't want to stay in what we don't want in life, because we don't want to focus on the negative, right? But we use what we don't want in life as knowledge to what we do want in life. And once we get clear about what we want in life, that's where our focus is. We want to throw away the negative part of how we thought and focus on I want to bring my gifts to the world and not be afraid. So we're going to focus on that. How can we do that? And we make plans. And the three pillars of empowerment, I work with my clients on getting clarity. Okay, you don't want this. This is what you want. These are going to be your goals. And we may make 3 or 5. They may have 5 or 6 things in life they don't want. We'll put 5 or 6 things in life they do want instead. And then we focus on what they want instead and how to do it. If you have someone at home that's lonely right now, I haven't thought of this, but they would be, well, I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to feel alone. I want to feel a sense of connectedness, because being loved and connected is one of our human needs as well. So, okay, you don't want that. What do you want instead? I want to feel connected. I want to feel loved. How can we do that? And then we would have 5 different ways, plans, goals, and things, actual action steps that she or he could do to feel connected. And so I would work with them on those 3 empowerment processes, but also I would really talk to them about our 6 human needs, why we respond the way we do, why we do what we do. We have 6 human needs. There's certainty, the need for certainty and safety, a soft place to land, food. Uncertainty, we have a need for variety, to be inspired, to learn, and to feel jazzed, right? We have a need for significance. Everyone needs to feel special and significant. We have a need for love and connection. They're amazing. Those are the needs of the personality. Those 4 needs are the needs of the personality. The needs of the spirit are growth and contribution. Now that client that I might work with on how to not feel lonely, how can she contribute to another person to feel good about herself? Maybe she could reach out to someone that's also lonely. Maybe he could reach out and do something. Maybe leave a gift on a doorstep. If they're not able to leave their house because they're disabled, how can, through books and growth and other ways to meet their needs? We would really focus in on their needs and how to feel empowered in this time.
So how do you feel certain in a time like this, that need? How do you fulfill the need of that when everything's falling apart?
Right. When everything's falling apart, everyone goes into survival mode, correct? And that's the deepest, strongest way of trying to fulfill your certainty need. That's why people couldn't find toilet paper. It wasn't because people were really selfish and horrible. They were scared. They were just scared, and they were reaching for anything that they could find because they became discombobulated. They were not grounded. They went into survival mode. And we get a little bit animalistic when we get in that mode. We're not thinking as clearly, right? We're not seeing what we need to see. When we get a little bit more grounded, we're able to say, okay, well, this is how many eggs I really need. This is the milk that I need and my family needs. This is the place I need to live. And these are the things that will help add some healthy quality to my life. Did that help with that question?
Yeah, well, that's definitely one thing that happened. And we saw it here where I live. We didn't run out of toilet paper, but we saw a second round of, people pulling everything off the shelves. Like several months in, there was a backtrack. So a lot of people live somewhere where some of the pandemic rules went backwards because things got worse. And there was another round of that, like all the stuff disappeared off the shelf again. And so that is interesting, and it's like a current of desperation, right? That uncertainty and that need to be safe. But the bigger picture being that we don't know where this is leading. Not that I think we're going to be having to wear masks and not be able to travel, but the shift in human consciousness, the shift in how we do business, the shift in how we go to school, the shift in how the governments are going to be functioning and who's going to be running them. All of these things are changing, and they're going to keep changing for a while. So that sense of certainty, or that desire to go back to the way things were, which I know some people might still be hanging on to, is can tie you down right? I need this certainty. And it puts you, like you said, out of clarity, calm, mindfulness, and into a more like reactive and desperate phase. And it's important that people take advantage of this crisis, right?
Right.
They go within, they look at their deeper patterns, they shed the old things, and do it without knowing what's going to happen. Is there a way that people can find inner certainty even though everything around them is not?
I think so. I think it all comes down to it's during the difficult times in life, the challenging times in life, the uncertain times in life that we build resilience and strength. And we we got through it. We're here. You said we're 7 months into this now. There's 7 months of resilience that has occurred in people that have wanted to that are conscious, that want to change and evolve with what's going on. And yes, I mean, we want the only thing really that we have to worry about is to keep people safe and to be good to people and to do our best. And it's not, I mean, the schools are going to change and evolve, and obviously that could be a really good thing. The government's going to change and evolve, and honestly, that could be a good thing. And I'm talking about I'm in the United States, talking about things like that. There are things in our lives where shedding superficial fears, that's huge. If you can do that, if you can create an awareness for yourself, I don't want to live afraid. I don't want to hide in a cave and be afraid to step out of the comfort zone I made for myself. You want to be strategic. When can I step out? How can I step out safely? But you want to step out of that comfort zone at some point because you're not going to be happy. The fun in life is outside of that comfort zone. It's thinking outside of that comfort zone. That's where the growth is. But yes, we need to feel reasonably safe so we can include a variety into our lives, right? And we need to feel significant. We all have superpowers. We all have strengths, and we have to remember them. And I think in the last 7 months, again, people, or 8 or however long, people are realizing that they have abilities and they want their voice heard. There's a lot of things going on there's undercurrents of unfairness that is going on. That is, we're like a tea kettle and steam's coming out now. It's breaking apart. And it's time to put the pieces back together like Humpty Dumpty, but in a much better way with awareness and being grounded.
It is fascinating how this has been a catalyst for so many changes. It's not just changing in how we go to school or how we travel, but literally that deeper part, that's what's going on underneath this. Like there is a greater purpose and a deeper meaning, and it is a good one. And change and breakdown isn't bad. Breakdowns are breakthroughs. And like you said, like I think everywhere, globally, we're seeing governments adapt and change, and we're seeing the need for all voices to be heard. Of course, in the US, we saw the riots and the protests, and I think protests, not violent or gratuitous looting for no reason at all, but actual honest to goodness, raise your voice and be heard, is important. It is one of those shifts, and respecting that. And we're seeing these things popping up. Even before the pandemic, we started seeing the Me Too, the whole women's movement. And being women, I don't know about you, I thought that whole thing was fascinating because all the men that came and said, really? And you look at it like, yes, I understand that you aren't a woman and you don't get it, but yeah, really, what we've lived with it. And I didn't even believe when that started that it was really going to change, because we've seen so many times when people said, this isn't right, women should have equal pay, or there was even an equal rights amendment that got voted down, for heaven's sakes, So we're seeing voices and internal passions and no longer wanting to be suppressed by our own inner voice or anyone else's rules. So it's beautiful. Let's talk a little more about those superficial uh, fears that really hang over everybody, and how you don't have to go to a protest unless you want to, but you can start to actually hear your own voice and share it in this beautiful shedding.
Right, right. And when you discover what you do want in life from being absolutely positive about what you don't want, well, we don't want to be treated unfairly. I'm not speaking just as a woman. Human beings do not want to be treated unfairly. We need to be and feel significant to offer our gifts and strengths to the world. And the Me Too movement, you're right. That was blew my mind. It's like, yeah, oh yes, understand it, please. And now I have a black girlfriend that I'm doing a project with, and when the Me Too movement started up, and the riots and what's going on now, and the horrible situations and violence that we saw that made the steam kettle blow, I said to her, I'm so sorry that I was as unaware as I was. I actually thought, as a white woman, that if I was kind and good and didn't keep anyone down, I was doing my part. Well, my part is to have a voice for people that don't have a voice too. So my part is to bring my strength and my superpowers to these difficult situations. And it was like a steam kettle. We fed a lot of unhealthy things into this kettle, and it just blew. And now it's time to keep in mind that if we get rid of the I'm not good enough, so if we get rid of the I'm a fraud, and for those that feel less than because they don't have a Ivy League education, Ivy League educations are fantastic, but if they don't have it, it doesn't mean they're less than. They have superpowers and things to offer, and we want to contribute. We want to look at those 6 human needs, remember those 6 human needs. The spiritual part, where we find our fun, where we find our true fulfillment in life, is when we're growing and when we're giving, contributing, giving our gifts. And that's how we can come together right now.
So how do people, when you have that pattern, because I lived much of my life with the I'm not good enough thing, massive people pleaser, overachiever, blah, blah, blah,
Too.
right? You know, just go, 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 but it was never enough, and never receiving and never enjoying. And I know too, you know, we both know in our work with our students and our clients that this is prevalent. This is almost everybody, even people
Yes.
you see that you think don't have that, they have it,
Yes.
you know, right? And now is that opportunity for all of us to let that go, because what I found is that it's usually easier for people to do something for someone else than for themselves, because we were all taught, do it for everybody else, put yourself last, you know, you're not good enough, blah, blah, blah. And yet right now, the best thing that we can do for anyone, including ourselves and our children and our family and the planet, is to actually let go of that and accept our gifts and step into our place. To me, it looks like a puzzle. And most of us aren't playing our real role yet. Right. And this is going, stay home, think about what you did, you know, think about who you are, find who you are, and then come back out with that, because we need you now. We need you to live your purpose now. You can't hide anymore. Oh, I'm not good enough. And I'm not making fun of anybody who feels that way. Believe me, we've lived it. But let's talk about that, like going deep between the worlds and then coming back out and living your gifts and doing it in a way where you aren't apologizing, validating, or worrying what other people think of who you are now, because this is the time.
Right, exactly. Well, a lot of us were conditioned to think if we took care of ourselves or if we loved ourselves, that we were going to be narcissistic, or we were selfish, or narcissism has nothing to do with taking care of yourself. Narcissism is when you don't have empathy. If you have empathy, if you're a good person and care about people, well, check that off your list. That gremlin's gone. You're not a narcissist. If you do things for other people from the heart, you know, you're not. So there's a beautiful quote from Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love. that hit me 20, 25 years ago about who are you not to be? Who are we not to be good enough? Why not us? What thought in our mind is keeping us from knowing that we have superpowers and gifts that we have to bring the world and that we have a voice? You know what it is, and that's what coaching does. Well, therapy really does it if you have very, very tough wounds. A coach will take you from where you are now to where you want to go. I work with people that are here and this is their desired state, and we work in the gap, right? And those are the steps that we take in the gap. Is like, why do you think you're not good enough? Okay, we're not going to stay there, but why do you think you're not good enough? And then we're going to put the steps together and the strengths together and the amazing things that come together that show people that they are good enough, and why not them? And that was a lie implanted somewhere to protect you to think you weren't. We didn't want to be embarrassed, so we didn't speak. Okay, so if you get embarrassed, do you die? What happens? What is the worst case scenario if you get embarrassed when you use your voice? That was always the big thing for me. I had imposter syndrome, and I could sit and use my voice. I could be on a panel and use my voice. I can write and use my voice, but being in front of 200 people or a large crowd, that was always hard for me. And that's when the gremlin would hit. Who do you think you are? Well, who am I not to think? Why is it okay? Why can I speak sitting down and 10 feet away, but when someone puts me on a stage in front of 200 people, all of a sudden speaking's a big deal, right? So we have to shine a light on these negative thoughts and negative patterns to the point that we know that they're ridiculous. And it's ridiculous for people to think that their voice doesn't matter and they're not good enough. If they aim to harm people, if, we know hurt people, if people have a ton of anger and a ton of resentment and hate, yeah, it can happen in life. Let's work on that. Get to the healers. The healers will help you with that. And if you don't have a ton of that and you're just questioning, should I believe her? Is it true? Could I be enough? Could I be good enough? Could I make a difference? Then get with a coach. Get with someone that's going to take you from there to, hopefully to where you want to go.
Yeah. And it's possible, right?
It is more than possible.
We've done it ourselves.
It happens overnight. It's always when it's like the energy, right? When you see one of the toughest things that I work with a client is when they plateau, when they're procrastinating, right? And when you have a client that's procrastinating, all of a sudden you start getting an awareness about how to work with them. And I want to say that I find in my practice, when I'm with someone that's procrastinating, it's because they think the next step is going to be hard. And why they think the next step is going to be hard is because their life had been so hard to that point. They had to get an education. They had to earn a living. They had to get a job. They had to raise children. All of these challenges, all these bumps in the road were so hard for them. They used so much energy to get to this place. So they're done. I got here. I'm at certainty. I'm okay. So they're plateauing and they're going to procrastinate. I want to go there, but I don't want to use that energy again. That was too hard. And then the work is to let them know how much easier the next step is. It's never going to be that hard again because their life experience is there for them. When they take those steps, they have so much life experience that just meets that energy and they start accomplishing those goals. We need to just get them to believe that and focus on one goal, complete that one, focus on another and complete that, and it happens. And you're right, it's possible. It's all possible, and it happens every day.
Yeah, it is, and it feels hard. I know it feels hard. It feels almost impossible, like concrete walls. And I was many, many decades ago, I learned hypnosis. I spent 5 years becoming a master level hypnotherapist, and I was doing it with a friend. And so then when we were at home, we would get together and we would break boards and hypnotize each other and all this stuff. And I had, like many people, I really wanted to please my parents. So a lot of the motivation and everything I achieved for much of my life was to prove I was good enough to them. Right. And I remember coming out of a session with my friend, after, doing this for many years, and it had been gone back to my issues with my dad, and I looked at him and I said, when am I ever going to be over my dad stuff? And he's like, I know, right? And it can feel like that, and yet it's so worth it, because that, like you said, suddenly something triggers and something shifts. And then if you have someone there by your side to help you anchor that, remember that, create a habit from that, then you suddenly start to have a different experience of life. But a lot of it is unhooking from what other people think.
Yes, because what they think is about them. It's not about us. It's not about you. It's about them. It's their thoughts. If someone is judging you not good enough, that's about them. They have their own life experiences, their own gremlins that they have to deal with. And let's face it, sometimes you have to find your tribe. You have to find your people. You have to find your like-minded people, or they'll find you. But they're not going to find you unless you step out a little bit, and then they'll find you. I understand it seems hard, but when we get it, when we have that aha moment, I've had so many clients that I've had before me where I see the strength. I see when the strength comes. I see where, that's right, I did that. I immigrated from that country. I have a client that went through everything that you can go through to have gremlins, and oh, did she feel like she had to be perfect to come to this country and to be successful in this country. And then when we looked back at her strengths and everything she did, I actually saw like a princess in front of me. I saw a queen be built in front of me when she remembered her strengths, and when she realized how Ginger Rogers said, I did the same thing Fred Astaire did, but I did it backwards with high heels on.
Yeah.
She was that woman in front of me. That's true. I am a manager. I'm a leader. I'm a leader in the community, and I do this, and I'm intimidated by these leaders and these managers and these people in the community, but yet they didn't have to climb the steps that I had to climb to get to this point. Once she got that, she could make the quick move from staying in her safety zone to reaching for more for life. The whole thing is, you don't want to stop yourself from growing. Growing is what brings fun. And I know that these are difficult times, but these are difficult times that are teaching us a lesson. These are times that are forcing growth, and we want to choose the way we grow. We can focus on the direction we want to focus on. And the focus for should be for reach, for health, for more, and our inner work.
Yeah, the growth is interesting because we do have, depends where you live probably, but we do have a tendency to be attached to things staying the same, or that you said earlier something like, now I've reached this point. I got the house, I got this, I got that. Okay, I made it. Because I used to be that way too.
I'm going to fight to stay here. I'll do everything in my power to stay in this place. And then all of a sudden you find that you're living a dull life, and you're bored, and it's not enough. And then you've trained yourself to think, but this is my set point. This is where I said I'm going to go, and I got here. So I'm not even going to look at these enticing things like growth and I could do more, or I am here for a purpose, and those things. So you want to open your eyes. You want to shine a light on what you really want, and take the steps, get with the people, be around the people, be around the positivity that will help you get there.
Yeah, exactly. So shedding, big theme, shedding the old in many ways. And also you talked about grounding. Can you give us a few tools and tips to help people ground when they get hit with crazy news or they feel caught up in the drama?
Sure. I actually just didn't, I grounded myself through this period of time. I felt discombobulated when COVID hit. I was nervous. I have a large family. I have 3 grown children, 6 grandchildren, a husband, friends, extended family that I adored, just like everyone else. So I wanted to get that sense of certainty too. And as a coach and with my training, I also knew that the steps I took would be better if I were grounded. And I wasn't listening to superficial fears. So I work to ground myself, and I'll tell you what I did, and then I'll give you tips that I work with my clients. What I did is I live in Eastern Massachusetts, Eastern U.S., and we're ending summer, so I had a raised garden. I created a raised garden with my daughter and husband, and then so I was growing things and back to nature. And when I went outside, I had a coach friend that told me that when you're touching the earth with your feet and touching trees and being in the earth, you're more grounded. I believe that. We all believe it. When we're in nature, we feel really good. 99.9% of us do. So I took off my shoes, and everything I did in the dirt, I was barefoot. All of a sudden I felt more grounded to the earth, and I it was a technique that worked for me for months. I was just getting out there in the dirt, watering, nurturing, watching something grow, feeding myself, feeding other people. It felt good. It was a wonderful feeling. With my clients that come to me and they need grounding, I can tell you about one client that came to me, and she had every certificate, every degree, and and projects. We put all the projects out in the universe. When she had a book over here, and she had a movie over here that she was writing, and she had a project over here, and they were all high level projects, and none of them were completed, and they were all we just put them, we pictured them up in the universe, and then we worked to ground her, because what we think happened is that if she completed one of the projects that was up in the universe, all these high level projects, then she'd have to accept responsibility for them. She created them, they were done. It wasn't just so I can say, I'm writing a book or I'm writing a movie or get significance like that. Now she wanted to step into the phase where she felt significance by accomplishing these goals. So what we did is we did superposing. Amy Cuddy wrote a book called Presence, and I use that with my clients a lot, which is posing like superheroes, grounding yourself. Um, this is a victory pose, by the way. This is universal. It's amazing. This Superman pose. I have clients that get in that position or get in this position and ground themselves before they go into big meetings, before they have to be reviewed, when they need courage. They expand their body and their physiology and remind themselves how important they are and that they belong. They give themselves a presence. When they do this work in front of me, that's one of those moments I can see the strength. They laugh, they humor me when they go to do it because they think, oh, I'm going to do it for Kathy. She's asking me to, but it's silly. But when they do it, there's a strength that comes over them. So you can meditate to ground yourself. You can walk the beach. You can write. You can get out in the dirt like I did. You can do these poses. And there's multiple ways to ground yourself. And it's what appeals to you, what will work. Something will work for this client that may not work for that client. Some are at different places in their lives that they need different things to ground themselves. But you just want to feel strong. You want to know that you belong on this earth and that you have something to accomplish. And that's belief, part of that's a feeling.
It's a great idea too, to use all of your different senses and the many that we haven't awakened yet, right? But to use your body for that. I know that when I create a transformation with a client, then I have them visualize going into their life, into certain situations, but from this place they're feeling, right? Filling their body up, standing tall, seeing yourself in those moments. And that's a very powerful way to change that physiology, to change. You said something earlier too, which I think is important. If you're feeling disconnected, connect with somebody. If you're feeling unappreciated, appreciate somebody, yes. Even if it's just a text. And so that action doesn't have to be massive, right? You don't have to go create the world or write the next best-selling novel.
Just one step. One step can change the day.
Yeah.
They say, what is the expression, how to deal with a change one bite at a time, one step at a time, right? As we talked, I have 6 grandchildren and I write children's books, and I'm working on a couple now with friends and things. And the only reason why I bring that up is I'm actually working on my first mindfulness book for children. And it came to me after the month of grounding work that I was doing with my clients. And when you mention senses, when you want to be grounded, the more of your senses, like if you have a high anxiety, I think get yourself a stress ball. Have a scent. I make rub-on scents for my grandchildren. I use lavender and coconut oil as and little they can little rub on their wrists, their little pulse points, and smell the calming scent of lavender. They know what's cool about it is if they're getting anxious because there's a thunderstorm and they do that, it's giving them something to do. They're taking action to take care of themselves. They're having some control. If they have a little stuffy to hold on to, that's wonderful. They're feeling the stuffy in their body, and they're feeling strong in their body and comforted. So use your senses. If you there's so many ways to deal with being grounded and to appease anxiety. Get yourself a pleasant place to sit if you can find that in your home, and have a scent around you. I have a spray bottle of cinnamon and lavender that I use I believe it clears the mind a little bit, and it's calming, and it works for me, and I love the scent, and it makes me happy. I'm doing something. I'm taking action. It's small. It's that little step, but it makes me feel good. And let's talk about the feeling place. When we get to a better place of feeling, it's very hard to accomplish things when we're feeling negative and we're in lower level feelings. What are there? Two feelings and the two emotions in the world. There's love and there's fear. And with fear, you have hate and anger and all this tension and all this negativity that we're talking about with the uprising. And I'm not saying these feelings aren't legitimate, but we want to help get out of them in the most healthy way and climb the emotional scale to well-being.
Yeah, and that's really powerful. So if you guys don't know about the Scale of Human Consciousness by Dr. Hawkins, I highly recommend it. I have my own version for my school. You were saying you use it with your clients. It's a profound piece of paper that if you print out, you will discover that you look at that and you can understand, I'm feeling this. Oh, look where I am. I'm way down here. It's heavy. There's not a lot of energy there. There's not a lot of solutions. You can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So you don't try to figure it out when you're down there. First, like you said, you do these things to lift yourself up to a higher state.
Yes.
Then naturally your emotional body, your mental body, everything will come into, oh, now I can see that there is a solution. Right?
Exactly. It's like when you fill a balloon, to give your listeners a visual. When you start filling the balloon with good things, you blow it up, you blow it up, you blow it up, you're filling it up. And then, it bursts. You put so much stuff in, it bursts. And there's your breakthrough. There's your momentum. There's your forward motion. It's like an elastic. You pull it, you pull the elastic, and then it breaks. And there's the forward motion that gets you to the next place, the higher level of feeling. And good things happen there. That's when you're feeling really great about yourself. Is someone's opinion going to matter to you? It's just going to be knowledge for you. It's like, oh, this is what they think. Well, that's about them. Do I agree with them? Oh, I don't think I agree with them on that, but I still love them. But I'm going to go do this because this is what I want to do. This is what will work for me. And this is where my spirit is calling me, where I am called to move forward.
Yeah, beautiful. So tell us a little bit about your free gift, the 3 pillars.
The 3 pillars of empowerment. It's funny, I was working with a girl that helps me, a young lady, a very talented young lady, and trying to think of something that would be a gift for your followers, and what I thought during the time of pandemic that may be the most important. And we came up with clarity, finding out what you want. This lesson of clarity is something you can use your entire life and in every area of your life. If you want to figure out, do I want this job or don't I want this job? Do I want to be treated this way or don't I want to be treated this way? Do I want to live like this or don't I want to live like this? And you just get really clear. What do I want? How do I want to live? What kind of, how do I want to show up? Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be around? Those are massive steps. Clarity is just, when we do clarity work with people, a nugget of belief enters into their being. It's like, oh, I believe in that. I believe that's what I want. And then belief starts growing, right? And then the next thing is grounding. Grounding is giving them strength to accomplish, giving them strength to know that they belong in this world, that they are good enough, that there's a place here for them. They're here for a reason. They're here. That's good. Eventually, with growth, that's where we all get to. Like, oh, right, I'm here. So I must be here for a reason. And then you're able to, move from that place. And then the gremlins. The gremlins is the gremlins is the bulldozer. The gremlins is the bulldozer that clears the way, clears the path, so you can walk the path that you want to walk. Once you get rid of, I'm not good enough, imposter syndrome, I must be perfect, all this negativity that, hey, listen, it served us once, right? It was there to keep us from being embarrassed when we were little. But then we missed a point when we should have, when some of us have, I missed the point when I should have shedded some of these superficial fears long before I did. And it's a wonderful feeling when we do, as we discussed, shed them. So the 3 pillars, there's some processes that are shared in the gift, and I hope people will enjoy it. I hope people will take something away from it. I hope they'll take something away from our talk today, because as you said before, everyone's needed right now.
Absolutely. And what's your website? Where can people find you?
Quintessentialcoaching.com. It's www.quintessential-coaching.com.
Okay, perfect. And we'll have that for you in the emails. If you get on the list for this, there'll be a special page that's got the video, the audio, the gift, and we'll make sure that you'll get that link so you don't need to remember it, so you can find Kathy. And what would you like to leave us with? Any little nugget of wisdom as we close?
I want to leave everyone with what we've been talking about, that these times are an awakening opportunity. It's a gift for us. I know that there are situations now and people in need, and the people that can help the people in need and contribute to the people that have needs, even their time, their company, a handout would be a wonderful thing to do. I just hope we can leave everyone with a message that they're needed right now, and you need to love yourself. If you love yourself, you're able to give more that way. And what I mean by that is, the greatest gift you can give yourself is to know that you're good enough. That's the greatest gift you can give yourself. And from there, there's just no stopping what you can do and accomplish. So I hope that we've imparted that today. I hope that's left there a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing.
Akasha. It was fun.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing these really important tips and insights. And I hope that you will really take away from this, no matter how long you've worked on that, you are good enough. Try this new one. You're needed. You're here. You're here for a reason. Your soul chose to be here right now. So there is a reason for it, because there isn't any energy that's wasted, right? And so actually going deeper at whatever level of that you are, because it took me many, many years of deep work to keep shedding layers of that, go to the next level of realizing I'm here at this time for a reason. On purpose. I have a piece to play in this, and it's vital, whether you know what it is or not. Many of the things that Kathy shared with you today, I allow you to understand that it doesn't have to be this, I'm becoming the next Oprah or something, right? You don't have to be that to change the world, to change your world, to make a difference. Your energy, who you are, the intention, the less you buy into the fear, the less you hold that fear, the more you give to the world, because we're in a soup, right? We're in an energy soup, and everybody's energies and thoughts and feelings go into that soup. So there might be some people who are Zen monks on a mountain that are way up here. And then there's people who are living horrible, very painful, very challenging lives that are down on the lower ends of the scale, and the guilt and the shame and the places that we've all visited. And it isn't to feel guilty or to judge yourself. It's to realize that that's why you're here. You're a master of energy. You are energy. You could ride up and down that scale. And those little gremlins, that negative self-talk, all those conditions that you were given, I know that you may even have people around you in your life right now reinforcing those, people you love, and yet it's okay. You can be safe releasing those and work with someone like Kathy. Find somebody who can help you to walk through that, especially when you're around people that don't understand that, and your soul, your heart is waking up to a new level of you, is calling you to let go of the fears and to be happy, even when it seems inappropriate. And I would love it if you were all happy, even when it's inappropriate. I know my family always thinks that I'm too happy. So, at inappropriate times. But you actually contribute to the world. So thank you again. And thank you, everyone. Please take this, repeat it, share it. These are free forever. Check out the YouTube. If you need the audio, that's there too. And make sure that you get the free gifts and give yourself that lift up, that support. Because here's the thing, things might be falling apart. You might feel uncertain. And it doesn't mean that you're alone. It doesn't mean that you don't have tools. Even if you don't know what they are here. So we have all of these tools and gifts for you, all of these beautiful interviews and experiences for you to walk into this awakening, this global transformation, this grand societal reset, and all the other names that have been given to this moment in time over the millennium. And you're here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And thank you for caring enough to come to this, to know that there's something bigger and better that you were designed to be. And to quote Marianne, like you said, who are you not to be? You were designed this way. You're perfectly designed for what you're meant to do. And if it's not what other people think you should be, that's okay. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Namaste. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Let's go ahead. Whoops. So I have to edit this now.